Hey, good morning. It's Patricia Murphy. It's Thursday. This is Seattle Now. This week's news of a possible Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade has huge implications for a woman's access to an abortion procedure. And it could send thousands more people from other states to Washington, where they can still get one. We'll hear more from a group that's been working to help them. But first, let's get you caught up. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi says marriage equality could also suffer if Roe is overturned. Pelosi visited Pierce County yesterday to promote COVID-19 relief programs and the infrastructure bill passed by Congress. She also stopped by the Seattle Times and told their editorial board that it's appalling that the draft opinion seeks to tell women how to handle matters in their personal lives. The speaker added that the opinion has an impact beyond a woman's right to choose, and marriage equality could be next. Oh boy, that didn't take long. King 5 reports more than 100 passengers are sick after a COVID outbreak on a Carnival cruise ship, and many are quarantining here. Passengers are required in most circumstances to be fully vaccinated. Carnival says there were no serious health issues, but passengers described a chaotic scene and an overwhelmed crew. The boat that deboarded on Tuesday is on its way to Alaska. And that big soccer match we talked about yesterday, playing in front of 68,000 fans at Lumen Field, the Sounders made history. 2 goals from Raul Ruidiaz, a clutch save from Stephen Fry. The Seattle Sounders beat Pumas 3-0 to win the CONCACAF Champions League. That gets them into the FIFA Club World Cup, the first MLS team to do it. The Supreme Court is set to overturn Roe v. Wade, opening the door for states to ban abortion. Washington already has a law on the books that ensures abortion access here, and state leaders have said it'll stay that way. We're already known as a safe haven state for people seeking abortions, but that will become an even bigger issue in coming months. Jennifer Allen is the CEO of Pacific Northwest Planned Parenthood.
There's going to be an impact when neighboring states like Idaho go dark for abortion access. We're going to see folks traveling here. We already see folks traveling here, to be honest, especially in the Idaho Panhandle. Folks commonly travel into Washington to seek abortion care, but we're going to see a lot more of that here and in Oregon. That's going to strain a system that's already inadequate. We do a great job. Washington is a leader in assuring abortion access. And again, the Washington legislature, the governor, our elected leaders have been working very hard to assure abortion access, but the infrastructure is inadequate in Washington and everywhere in the country, regardless of the right to abortion care.
Abortion providers here are bracing for a wave of people who can no longer get an abortion in their state. Of course, as Jennifer said, many people already travel here to get one. Riley Keane helped some of those people on that journey. She's a volunteer with the Northwest Abortion Access Fund. Riley, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Trish. It's great to be here.
So tell me a little bit about what you do at NWAAF.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work on the logistical side of the house. We also have a funding arm. What I do is work with callers on any kind of barrier to care that is outside of the actual paying for the cost of their appointment. So transportation, lodging, food, childcare, navigating a very complicated situation in kind of like a deep trauma response state. We handle all that with folks.
Okay, so you're working directly with people to help them manage having to travel to another state to get an abortion in some cases. I'm wondering if there's a story that stayed with you.
Yeah, obviously all of the callers stay with me, and there are certainly some people who I kind of can't stop thinking about while I'm working with them. I think one that really spoke to me recently was I was working with a caller who was traveling within Idaho, and, just kind of in the course of conversation, we were chatting about sort of her situation. And prior to COVID, she had been, I think like a VP of marketing, pretty high up at her company. She was employed. She was making good money. It came up because we were talking about her transportation options. And she was like, yeah, I actually still have a leased car, I haven't been able to pay the lease for 3 months, but they also haven't repossessed it, so I can use it to drive myself to my appointment. And she had been in a position previously where she was organizing fundraisers for her local Planned Parenthood. She was a donor to these funds and never really thought that she would one day be needing, I think the cost of her appointment was like $600. It was not an exorbitant fee, but it is an amount that is out of reach for, what is it, like 40 to 50% of Americans in an emergency. And it was so clear to me how close so many people I know who consider ourselves, insured and employed and safe, how close we really are to needing this kind of support.
If Roe is overturned, it'll be up to states to pass their own abortion laws. Washington has strong protections like we talked about. Our neighbor Idaho does not. What do you expect to see happen here?
Well, we already see, a volume of callers from Idaho. A lot of folks don't realize that I think it's 30-something states follow the Hyde Amendment very closely when it comes to funding for Medicaid, and they do not pay for abortions. So Idaho is one of those states. So we've been helping folks in Idaho for years at this point, because the safety net for them is really so non-existent. And Idaho has such restrictive legislation on the books in terms of when they stop allowing abortion within the state. We see folks who need second trimester care. We see folks who need first trimester care. If their trigger law goes into effect, we're going to be seeing everybody. Everybody is going to have to leave the state to get access to safe medical care.
We heard from the CEO of Planned Parenthood here in Seattle, and she said that a flood of people from other states would strain our already strained system. Governor Inslee has promised more support. What do you think would help most?
Oh, it's such a great question. The provider network for abortion care is very thin. We're very lucky that we work with providers who are passionate about the work that they do. It is obviously not everyone's preferred, livelihood. So we have the number of clinics that we work with are pretty limited. The work that they're able to do, there are only so many people. Their facilities are strained as they are. Money is obviously always number one, but then from there, it really gets into logistics. Like if the clinics are all booked for a month to 2 months, that's putting people a month to 2 months further along. That's making their procedures that much more expensive. So I think like in the immediate, giving money to abortion funds, supporting local clinics if you do know of local clinics in your area. And then beyond that, it really does become a question of, can we get more doctors? Can we get more nurses? Are there ways that we can actually build up more facilities?
Yeah. Riley, what are you going to be doing over the next few weeks to prepare for this possible new legal landscape?
We've been preparing for this for a long time. I think it's really important to remember that as of today, abortion is still legal in all 50 states. So we're going to be continuing to do the work. We're going to be continuing to support our callers and continuing to show up for them because, our callers are, again, like it can be a really scary experience to need medical care and not know how you're going to get it, how you're going to pay for it, who's going to watch your kids. So I think the best thing that we can do over the next couple weeks is to continue to do the work that we're already doing. Yeah. Lots of people have said that this news was expected. But I wonder what your reaction was when you heard that the opinion had been leaked. It was surreal. I found out from a provider that I had been working with. I'm on shift with NOAF this week, so I'm actively assisting callers currently. I found out from a provider who I have been trying to organize, an appointment for a caller, and I couldn't believe it. It seemed so sudden. Things always seem very sudden when no one tells you that it's about to happen. But it just, and then, obviously social media and texts and people were calling, and I've seen a lot of great calls for support, but I've also seen a lot of misinformation being repeated, and that is honestly what gets to be more stressful. Are you hearing from callers their concern, their fear? Yeah, absolutely. People don't know if they're exposing themselves to legal liability by contacting us. People don't know if what they're asking for is going to be something that they can be prosecuted for. And it's hard for us to hold the sort of knowledge that we have and then also hold this extra amount of legal knowledge in terms of, no, it's okay, or like, no, it's not okay, or like, yes, you should use encrypted communication with us. So we have tried to be as security conscious as we can while not letting that become an additional barrier to care for people.
It makes me wonder if there's already a chilling effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say there's already a chilling effect. And one of the repercussions of that is that people who maybe could have gotten, their abortion taken care of earlier on, but were scared and were indecisive, are now facing higher costs, longer waits. I was working with a caller last week who was coming from Texas and who had been waitlisted at clinics in 4 neighboring states, and then eventually had to come to Seattle because she wasn't able to get in.
Wow. Riley Keane, volunteer with the Northwest Abortion Access Fund. Really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for reaching out, Trish. It was great to talk to you.
Thanks for listening. Clare McGrane produced today's show. Matt Jorgensen does our theme music. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you tomorrow.